Before the story begins, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and like. This will help the channel grow. The Lighthouse Keeper's Secret, Detective Mystery Story. The ocean always had a way of keeping secrets. On a gray October morning, Detective Anna Rowe received one in the mail, a letter that smelled faintly of salt and oil. The handwriting was rough, almost carved into the paper. Come to Blackwater Bay. The lightkeeper's dead, and it wasn't the sea that took him. No signature. No explanation. Blackwater Bay was a forgotten coastal village 2 hours north of Bristol, a place known for storms, shipwrecks, and a lighthouse that had stood since 1889. Anna had been there once, years ago, when the foghorn still sounded like a dying wail and gulls screamed over empty docks. When she arrived, the village looked like something left behind by time. Weathered boats creaked against the pier. A group of fishermen stared in silence as she passed, their eyes hollow. The lighthouse rose above the cliffs, a black spire against the pale sky. Its keeper, Edward Hales, had been found at the base of the spiral stairs, neck broken. Locals said he fell. The coroner said it was an accident. But the letter said otherwise. That night, as Anna unpacked in her rented room, she noticed something strange outside the window. A light in the lighthouse, flickering steadily, though no one was supposed to be inside. The next morning, the air tasted of salt and smoke. Anna climbed the path toward the lighthouse, boots crunching over wet stones. The keeper's house stood beside it, its windows shattered, curtains fluttering like torn sails. Inside, she found a journal on the table. The last entry was dated a week before Hales's death. The mirror room hums again. I see her face when the light turns red. She calls my name. The mirror room was the top chamber, where the Fresnel lens rotated to project the beam across the sea. Anna climbed the narrow stairs, her flashlight cutting through the damp air. Each step groaned. At the top, she stopped. The great glass lens loomed over her, fractured by hairline cracks. Sea air whistled through them like a whisper. In the reflection, she saw movement, a figure standing behind her. She spun around. No one. Only her own echo, and the sound of the waves below. Then she noticed fingerprints on the inside of the glass, small, slender ones. Not from a man. On her way out, she passed the doorframe and saw words scratched faintly into the paint, asterisk. The light never sleeps. Anna found Hales's widow living in a crumbling cottage near the bay. Mrs. Hales was thin, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. The kettle hissed as she poured tea, hands trembling slightly. My husband, he heard things, she said. Voices, mostly at night. Said the sea was talking back. Did he mention anyone visiting? Anna asked. The widow hesitated. There was a girl. Long black hair. Came to the cliffs sometimes, watching the light. He said she looked familiar, but I never saw her face. Anna showed her the journal. The woman's eyes widened at the last entry. He said he'd been dreaming of our daughter, she whispered. But she died 12 years ago. Drowned. Outside, gulls shrieked over the gray water. The tide had pulled far out, revealing dark rocks and a shape caught between them, a piece of cloth, fluttering like a flag. Anna climbed down to investigate. It wasn't cloth. It was a coat sleeve, with a charm bracelet tangled in the fabric, the same one the widow had described in her daughter's photo. As she looked up, the lighthouse beam cut across the bay, stopping for a moment, exactly on her. By nightfall, the storm had returned. Anna waited for the rain to hide her footsteps as she broke into the lighthouse again. The place groaned and shifted under the wind. Upstairs, near the lens, she found a loose floorboard. Beneath it, a box wrapped in oilcloth. Inside were photographs, newspaper clippings, and one letter. She wasn't supposed to live. The sea was meant to take her back. The handwriting matched the anonymous letter that brought Anna here. A sudden knock echoed from below. She froze, hand on her revolver. A lantern's glow moved through the stairwell, slow and deliberate. "Detective Rowe," a voice called, low, male, steady. "You shouldn't be here." It was Sheriff Dempsey, the local law. He stepped into the room, his coat dripping. "You're stirring ghosts that should have stayed buried. What happened to Hales?" she demanded. He looked toward the lens. He remembered. That's what killed him. Lightning flashed, and for a heartbeat, Anna saw her reflection split across the glass. Two faces instead of one. Hers, and another woman's, smiling faintly from behind the crack. The storm raged for hours. Anna stayed inside the lighthouse, reading every letter from the box. They told of a child born to the lightkeeper, and a woman who vanished at sea, a child who should have died but didn't. One photo caught her breath. It showed the widow, younger, holding a baby wrapped in a gray blanket. The child's eyes were light gray. Her own were too. A memory surfaced. A coastline, waves crashing, someone's hand pushing her underwater. She gasped, trembling. The sound of the sea grew louder, deafening. The mirror lens flickered to life. Through it, she saw not the ocean, but a room beneath the waves. A cradle. A shadow swaying gently. Then, in the glass, she saw herself, or someone wearing her face, standing beside the cradle, whispering, smiling. A voice rose behind her, familiar and fragile. "You were never meant to leave, Anna." She turned. The widow stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You were our miracle, and our curse." The wind screamed around the tower, and the sea rose in violent waves. The lens spun faster, glowing red, flooding the room in pulsing light. Anna backed away from the widow, shaking her head. "That can't be true. You were born here," the woman said. "The lighthouse is what kept you alive. It remembers you, Anna. It's calling you home." The glass cracked, one piece shattering to the floor. Beyond it, Anna saw shapes in the water, hands, faces, reaching up through the surf like memories clawing back to life. The widow stepped forward. "Every keeper must return what the light saved. That's the price." Anna reached for the gun, but hesitated. The beam turned again, sweeping over them both, and for an instant, the reflection showed only one figure, Anna, holding the widow's hand, both faces merging into one. The storm broke suddenly. Silence. At dawn, fishermen found the lighthouse door ajar, the lens intact, the light still turning. Inside, 2 teacups on the table, and a journal open to a new page. The light never sleeps. And neither do I.